Part 138. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1371. As soon as the words fell, all the ghosts on the top of Mount Tai froze, and then they all looked at Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan, with bloodthirsty red light flashing in their eyes. The next second, countless fierce ghosts rushed towards Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan. It's like a beast coming down the mountain. Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan looked frightened. They stood up and tried to escape by any means. But, how can I let these two guys get their wish? I summoned the heavenly secret and used the golden light to kill. The golden magic circle appeared out of thin air and enveloped the entire top of Mount Tai. I controlled the golden light killing array, and used the golden light to nail Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan to the Zen monument, but I did not harm the ghosts in the array. Moreover, Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan's strength has been greatly reduced, and they are no match for me at all. True Yuan is very important to gods. True Yuan is equivalent to the human soul. However, God's true Yuan is not so easy to extract. It was a coincidence that Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan were not prepared this time. Countless ghosts wanted to go up and tear Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan into pieces, and used the ability of the Nine Eyes heavenly domain to come in front of Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan. Both of their faces were full of horror at this moment. I looked at them both jokingly and asked, "Are gods also afraid?" Lord Taishan looked at me with unwillingness in his eyes. He said, "Lu Su, you can't kill me. If you kill me, the gods will not let you go." I looked at him coldly and said, "I won't kill you. Do you think it's possible?" From the moment I proclaimed myself emperor, I decided to be an enemy of you gods. I don't care what attention you are playing, what plot you are planning, or if you block my way, I can only kill the gods. I changed the subject and asked, "Tell me, does God also ask for mercy?" Lord Taishan didn't say anything. I took a step back and sneered, "Let's do it." The Taishan Ligi got my order and rushed towards Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan like crazy. They opened their bloody mouths and tore apart Taishan Fijun and Tai Yuan crazily. Ah! Lord Taishan let out a miserable howl. He shouted at me, "Lu Su, let me go. I can't die yet. God's life, I haven't enjoyed enough. I want to leave the tomb of the gods. I will have supreme rights again." There was no expression on my face when I heard Lord Taishan begging for mercy. Regardless of whether they are humans or gods, they will feel fear when facing death. This is both human nature and divinity. This kind of death, being torn apart by evil ghosts, is humiliating to a god. What I want to tell them is that although I, Lu Su, am a human being, I have the ability to make gods afraid. Let God beg for mercy. I turned around and left, and King Di came up to me. He let out a long sigh and said, "It's finally solved." Miao Fengluan stepped forward and asked with concern, "Lu Su, are you not injured?" Huaxiu, Lu Hangxuan, and others also looked at me with worried eyes. I smiled and said, "I'm fine." Qing Emperor stretched out his hand and patted my shoulder and said, "This is how you look like a great emperor. I remember that you were like this in your previous life, which frightened the gods. Unexpectedly, I saw you again today." I said, "This is all thanks to you, thank you." Master Gui stepped forward and said, "You're a little out of touch. You and I are brothers, so why should we say thank you or not?" The female slave asked, "Lu Su, what are you going to do next?" I took a deep breath and said, "Go to the underworld and kill the generals." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1372. As I said before, the generals found 4 places to raise corpses. I have found and destroyed the other 3 places. The last place to raise corpses is in Huangquan-Minghai. Xiang Yi also said that generals are one of the main reasons for provoking disputes in the underworld. I don't know what he is up to, but no matter what his purpose is, I will destroy him and return him to my destiny. I turned back to look at Taishan Fijun and Taiyuan. The two of them had been torn apart by the ghosts, and countless small golden light points burst out from their broken bodies. These small golden light points sank directly into the bodies of the Feng Shui masters who were lying on the ground uncertain about their life or death. Seeing this scene, I was slightly startled. I didn't expect that killing Taishan Fijun and Taiyuan would cause Xuanyang's energy to return to the Feng Shui master's body. It seemed that their lives should not be cut off. Soon, Taishan Fijun and Taiyuan were completely torn apart by Wangui. Seeing this, there is no need for me to stay here any longer. I summoned the sea of ghosts, and ink-colored darkness gathered around me. I looked around and said coldly to the ghosts of Mount Tai, "From today on, you will be at my disposal. If you don't accept it, you can resist now. Lu Su, stay with me until the end." After hearing my words, all the ghosts in Taishan looked at me and I looked at you. Then they all knelt down and shouted loudly and respectfully at me, "We will follow the emperor to the death. We dare not complain at all." I nodded with satisfaction and collected the ghosts of Mount Tai into the sea of ghosts. After doing this, Miao Fengluan and others returned to the hotel. After returning to the hotel, I called out King Di and asked, "Mount Tai is one of the passages to the underworld. How can I get from Mount Tai to the underworld?" King Di thought for a while and said, "You are now the god of Mount Tai, the only great emperor in the world. Just find the seal of Mount Tai and open the passage at 12 o'clock in the evening." "Taishan seal? Where is that thing?" King Di replied, "Dongyu Hall, you can go and get it tomorrow." I nodded. I originally planned to go to the underworld tonight, but after thinking about it, it was better to rest for one night. I can also find Xiangyi tomorrow and inquire about the current situation in the underworld. Thinking of this, I said to Huashiu, NVBA, and Master Gui, "You should go back and rest first." Everyone nodded and left the room. Not long after everyone left, I instantly felt dizzy and my body temperature was rising rapidly. Miao Fengluan noticed something was wrong with me and quickly stepped forward and asked, "Lu Su, what's wrong with you?" I covered my head and said with difficulty, I'm fine." As soon as the words fell, I instantly flipped over and lost consciousness. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in endless darkness. I walked slowly forward in this endless darkness. I don't know how long I walked, but a big mountain appeared in front of me. The mountain in front of me is very familiar to me. Isn't this the mountain where the sky coffin is buried when I first entered the underworld? I stood up and instantly knew what was going on. Does memory awaken? Or is it the memory inheritance after becoming emperor? Thinking of this, I followed the mountain road, entered the cave, and came to the inside of the mountain. It was hollowed out and very empty, just like a huge abyss. And I saw the huge black coffin that was very familiar to me. The black coffin was pulled by 9 dragon corpses and suspended in the center of the mountain. The 9 dragon corpses were embedded in the mountain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1373. The sky coffin is physical. However, in my understanding, the sky coffin is the world of one side. No, it should be the world of 9 directions. However, the sky coffin in front of me is completely different from the first time I saw it. The surface of the sky coffin was badly broken, and the large and small holes gave me a very unstable feeling, as if the coffin would collapse if the wind blew. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in my ears. "Lu Su." I looked around for a moment and looked around, but I didn't see anyone. However, this voice is very familiar to me. When I was carving my name on the Fengchan stone tablet, this voice also appeared in my mind. Who are you? After a while, the voice came again. Who I am is not important. What is important is that you remember what I say next. I frowned, and the man continued, the sky coffin is the beginning and the end of everything. The 9 evils returned to the palace, the sky coffin was broken, and only you and Su Tianqian can repair it. Thousands of years of planning and endless reincarnations. If you want to achieve that goal, you must be ruthless and let Su Tianqian repair the sky coffin for you. I took a deep breath and asked, if I let Su Tianqian repair the sky coffin on my behalf, what would happen to her? The voice was silent for a while and then replied, I will die. I asked again, what if I do it myself? The voice went on to answer, you will lose everything and be back where you started. Lose everything? Back to square one? Could it be that, I will lose my limbs and 5 senses again? I know what you are thinking. As your memory gradually awakens, you will know what you want, and at the same time, you will make the right choice. As soon as I finished speaking, my eyes fell into darkness, and then, one memory after another appeared in front of my eyes. This memory is not the past, but the future, a divination future picture. After reading these memories, my expression instantly became extremely serious. At this moment, I can't describe this memory, I can only bury it in my heart, because I saw many pictures that I couldn't accept, and an ending that broke my heart. I don't know how long it took, but I slowly opened my eyes, and the first ray of sunshine in the morning shone on me. Miao Fengluan sat next to me all night and watched over me. Seeing that I woke up, she quickly asked, Lu Su, how are you? I raised a wry smile on my lips and replied, I'm fine. Miao Fengluan stared at me closely and asked, Lu Su, why are you crying? I was startled slightly, stretched out my hand to wipe away the tears from the corners of my eyes, and said to myself, yeah, why am I crying? Miao Fengluan noticed something was wrong with my mood, opened her red lips slightly, and asked, did you have a nightmare? I smiled and said, yeah, I had a terrible nightmare. Miao Fengluan felt extremely distressed and quickly comforted her, Lu Su, don't be afraid. People often say that dreams are opposite. I smiled bitterly in my heart, it would be great if it was really a nightmare, but it was not a nightmare, but a prediction from the future. I'm fine. I replied, stood up and said to Miao Fengluan, I'm going to Dongyu Hall later, do you want to go with me? Miao Fengluan was stunned for a moment, then nodded and replied, okay. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1374. I packed up and went to Dongyu Hall with Miao Fengluan again. Yesterday, the entire Mount Tai was deserted, not even a soul could be seen on the street. Today, although there were not many people, it was not so lifeless. Miao Fengluan followed me, looking at me with worried eyes from time to time. I asked with some confusion, why are you looking at me like this? Miao Fengluan and Zhu Chen opened their mouths lightly and said hesitantly, Lu Su, I always feel that, you have something on your mind. I was slightly startled and said with a smile, what can I have on my mind? You are overthinking it. Miao Fengluan shook his head slightly at me and said, Lu Su, if you have something on your mind, you can tell me. Although I don't know what you are worried about, but speaking out the things hidden in your heart will make you happy. A lot of. I smiled at Miao Fengluan and replied, I'm fine, you don't have to worry. When you have troubles in your heart, it is indeed a good way to talk, however, I am the only one who can bear the troubles I have. I don't want to tell other people about this, and I don't want to drag them down, so I can only one person bears it. When Miao Fengluan saw what I said, she didn't say anything more and followed me to Dongyu Hall. Under the guidance of King Di, I found a secret door in the main hall and entered the secret door while no one was paying attention. It was pitch dark in the passage, and I didn't know how long I had walked. A beam of light came from the front of the passage. When I walked in, I saw that there was a small secret room at the end of the passage. In the middle of the secret room was an imperial seal that glowed with golden light. The imperial seal is carved from jade. The texture of the jade is transparent and moist, and suddenly there is a golden dragon on it. I bit my finger and dripped my own blood on the imperial seal. The next moment, the imperial seal glowed with golden light and slowly floated up. I stretched out my hand and held it in my hand. This was regarded as recognizing the master. The Emperor's seal is also the Taishan seal, which can open the passage to the underworld under Mount Tai. There are many passages to the underworld in the world, and this one under Mount Tai is undoubtedly the largest. After retrieving the Imperial Seal, Miao Fengluan and I returned to the hotel. I plan to contact Xiangyi after dark to discuss going to the underworld. Because I don't know much about the situation in the underworld right now. If I go there rashly, I will definitely encounter some inevitable troubles. However, before that, I want to check Nadia's injuries. I called out the colorful butterfly, and the colorful light emerged between my eyebrows, and then condensed in front of me. After a while, the colorful butterfly appeared in front of me. Her face was pale and her brows were extremely haggard. It seemed that Lord Taishan's palm had caused considerable harm to her. Nai Dai, how do you feel? Kadi shook her head at me and replied, I'm fine. I'll recover after taking some rest. Seeing her looking so haggard, I felt heartbroken. I reached out my hand, gently rubbed her head, and said, I'm sorry for hurting you. Cai Dai rolled her eyes and said, it's no use just talking. Go buy me snacks right now. Only by taking action can you show your intention. I couldn't help but smile and said, okay. Afterwards, I went to the store and bought a lot of snacks for Cai Dai. Nai Dai lay on the bed contentedly, eating snacks and watching TV. At noon, Huaxiu, NVBA, and Lu Hangxuan knocked on the door. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1375. When Huaxiu saw Cai Dai lying on the bed, he felt heartbroken. He quickly stepped forward and said, Nai Dai, are you okay? When Cai Dai saw Huaxiu, her Kayang nose slightly curled up, and she said, hey, Sister Huaxiu. The colorful butterfly flew into Huaxiu's arms and burst into tears. I couldn't help but smile and shake my head. Cai Dai is actually very strong, but in front of people she knows well, she just looks like a little girl who hasn't grown up. The female slave came to me and asked, Lu Su, when will we set off? I pondered for a moment and replied, after I ask about the current situation in the underworld tonight and find out everything, we will set off. The female demon nodded, her expression suddenly became extremely serious, and she said to me, Lu Su, that general must have absorbed a lot of corpse energy in the underworld, and his strength must have made a qualitative leap. Furthermore, I infer that, the general wants to use a coffin in the underworld to go to the sky coffin, and then release the ancient dragon and the zombies in the sky coffin. I was slightly startled and asked, is there a coffin in the underworld? The female demon replied, yes, that coffin is called the underworld corpse coffin. It is said that the coffin was made of the bodies of thousands of corpses and was sunk in the sea of inscriptions. Of course, it is also the channel to communicate with the sky coffin. If I want this evil general to return to the palace successfully, I must use the Minghai corpse coffin to go to the sky coffin. However, there is one thing I can't figure out. The 9 evils returned to the palace, and the sky coffin was broken. Since all the 9 evils returned to the palace, why was the sky coffin still broken? Moreover, what is the meaning of the existence of the sky coffin? I have no way of knowing these things so far, I can only rely on my unawakened memory. I understand, everything will be discussed after we know the current situation of the underworld. In the evening, at Cai Dai's suggestion, we rented a barbecue grill and started grilling next to a river at the foot of Mount Tai. It was almost dusk, with red clouds hanging high in the sky. There was an extraordinary peace between heaven and earth, and my heart slowly became silent. The rare peace made me feel a little dazed. I didn't know if I would be able to experience such a life after everything was over. Before, I was extremely convinced that after everything settled, I would definitely live an ordinary life. However, as my memory awakened, I gradually understood my final destination. Miao Fengluan and Lu Hangsuan were grilling meat in front of the barbecue, Huaxiu and Cai Dai were playing games on the side with their mobile phones, and I was sitting by the stream admiring the beautiful scenery of Mount Tai. At this moment, dull footsteps suddenly came from not far away. I looked back and saw that it was Master Tian and Suxian, and Mr. Ma was also there. On the top of Mount Tai that day, Mr. Ma did not show up. Maybe something happened and he was delayed. Mr. Ma came to my side, put his arm around my shoulders, and said with a smile, "You boy, you really succeeded." I smiled and said, "Mr. Ma, why didn't you help me that day?" Mr. Ma let out a long sigh and replied, "You kid, aren't you trying to offend me? Your strength has already surpassed mine. Even if I go, I won't be able to help you much." Suxian said on the side, "Don't listen to his nonsense. Although he did not go to the top of Mount Tai, he secretly helped you stop many Feng Shui masters." I was slightly startled, looked at Master Ma, and said, "Thank you. Isn't it a little too outspoken for you and me to say thank you? If you really want to thank me, then drink with me." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1376. I smiled and replied, "Okay." The Heavenly Master also stepped forward and thanked me again and again, saying that if it hadn't been for me, he and the disciples from Longhu Mountain would have died on the top of Mount Tai. At the same time, he was also angry that the majestic Lord of Taishan would actually do something like this. Such a thing. I just laughed it off. Mr. Taishan Mansion may not have done many unscrupulous things secretly. What I saw was just the tip of the iceberg. Not only him, but also the god sealed in the tomb of the gods. Soon, the sun set and night fell. We sat by the creek eating barbecue and drinking beer, with the moving lights emitting dim light. Huaxiu was a princess in front of her. She didn't touch Yangchun water with her fingers, so she only knew how to eat. The same was true for Cai Dai, who pestered Miao Fengluan to let her bake this and that. Miao Fengluan is very patient. With her character, she will fulfill even if Cai Dai makes any excessive demands. At this moment, the light from the mobile lighting suddenly dimmed a little, and then a dark wind blew, and a figure appeared not far away and was walking towards me. Judging from the outline of the figure, it is Xiang Yi. Xiang Yi came to me and said with a smile, "It seems that you have succeeded. You are all having a barbecue here." As he said that, Xiang Yi pushed me to the side, sat in my seat, and started to eat happily. I have long been accustomed to his behavior, so I asked, "How is the underworld now?" Xiang Yi casually answered while picking up the skewers, "The situation is a bit bad. The main strata of the underworld raising troops this time are the 10 palaces of Yama. Is there any movement above the 10 palaces of Yama? Among them, King Qin Guang of the first palace, King Chu Zhang of the second palace, and Emperor Song of the third palace have already begun to take action. The three of them plan to help the generals go to the Sky Coffin, then release the ancient jade, and finally join forces with the generals to approach Fengdu city." Hearing this sentence, I frowned instantly. The three kings of hell decided to help the generals, and now things were a little troublesome. Xiang Yi continued, "However, you don't have to worry. Emperor Fengdu has sent King Yama and King Biancheng to help you. What you have to do is to suppress King Qingguang, King Chujiang, and Emperor Song in Minghai. Now the entire Hades Sea is blocked, and not a single ghost can enter. I felt a lot of comfort when I heard that King Yama and King Biancheng were helping me. The scale of the army raised by the underworld this time is not too large. After all, it only involves 3 kings of hell, and there is no reaction from the beings above Yama. Xiang Yi looked at me with the skewers in his hand, his expression becoming extremely serious. Lu Su, you must be careful this time. Although the other kings of hell have not made any moves, they are always paying attention to the changes in the battle situation. Once they seize the opportunity, they will definitely mobilize in full force. After hearing this, I nodded and asked, which force is the 10 palaces of Yama? Xiang Yi replied, currently it is known that King Qingguang, King Chujiang, and Emperor Song have occupied the 5 ghost emperors. King Yama and King Biancheng are from the side of Emperor Fengdu. As for the other Yamas, I don't know. Because they hide it too deeply, as if whatever happens in the underworld has nothing to do with them. So far, the situation in the underworld is indeed very complicated. If you want to successfully eliminate the generals, you must go to the Sea of Netherworld. Once you go to the Sea of Netherworld, you will inevitably conflict with the 3 major Yamas. You must know, King Yama is not an ordinary ghost and devil. Gods can rival it. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1377. Emperor Qing told me before that the gods in the underworld have been replaced. I don't know whether this is true or false. However, I had a reason to go. If I don't go, when the general enters the coffin, he will definitely break it. When the time comes, once the coffin is broken, I will die, and it will have unimaginable consequences. As for what the consequences will be, I don't know. I only know that they are very serious. Thinking of this, I sighed slightly. If I want to win successfully, I must use the yin soldiers in my hands rationally. You must know that in addition to their own strength, the 3 Yamas also have many powerful yin soldiers and yin commanders. There are countless yin soldiers. I raised my head, looked at Xiang Yi, and asked, I've never been able to figure out one thing. Why did they raise an army to resist the existing order of the underworld? Xiang Yi replied, the reason is very simple. They are no longer satisfied with staying in the underworld. They want to come to the human world. The order of the underworld since its creation has been maintained by Emperor Fengdu alone. In the long history, this kind of thing has happened before. However, every time it happened, it was properly solved. However, it is different now. We can only solve everything with the help of you, an outsider. I nodded, and Xiang Yi continued, tomorrow night, you and I will go to the underworld. Before taking action, I will take you to see King Yama and King Biancheng to discuss how to break through the Sea of Hell. Good. Xiang Yi told me before that the general had released the ghosts from other levels of the 18th level of Hell. If I guessed correctly, these ghosts should be following the general. This is really troublesome. We talked until late, and then I went back to the hotel. NVBA, Huashiu, Ghost Master, and others also want to go with me. As for Pei Yan, he left after I became emperor in Taishan. Before leaving, he told me that he would tell the remaining people in Ziwei Tianfu about my existence. Since he wanted to leave, I didn't try to keep him. I was lying on the bed, tossing and turning, when Miao Fengluan suddenly said, Lu Su, if Master Tianqian was by your side, you probably wouldn't be so troubled, right? I was slightly startled. If Su Tianqian was by my side, I would indeed feel much more at ease. I didn't reply, so Miao Fengluan asked again, Lu Su, when will Master Tianqian come back? I thought about it and replied, it's almost, I can feel that she has left Yaokai, but she didn't come to me at the first time. Through Xinwen, I can know that Su Tianqian has left Yaokai. Before, Xinwen was slightly hot, which means that Su Tianqian is coming to me. However, today, Xinwen has returned to calmness. I'm a little curious as to where Su Tianqian went and why he didn't come to me as soon as possible. However, I'm not too worried. I will definitely see him when he should see him. On this trip to Mount Tai, Ruohong also came with me. However, I couldn't let her go to the underworld with me to take risks, so I asked him to stay here and wait for Su Tianqian. Maybe not long after I left, Su Tianqian just came here? Ruohong was also able to tell her exactly what happened these days. Miao Fengluan smiled and said, I haven't seen Master Tianqian for a long time. I miss her a little. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1378. I smiled and said nothing. Soon, the next day came, and it was a peaceful day, and the time came to 12 o'clock in the morning. I, Miao Fengluan, Huaxiu, Lu Hangxuan, Nu Ba, Xiangyi and Cai Dai are heading to Mount Tai. We come to the dark side of Mount Tai. Mountains are divided into two sides, yin and yang. Mountains to the south and water to the north are yang, and mountains to the north and water to the south are yin. On the shady side of the mountain, where sunlight cannot be found all year round and the yin energy is extremely heavy, the passage to the underworld can be opened here. It is very dangerous for a living person to enter the underworld, but except for Miao Fengluan, Huaxiu and the others are not afraid. I originally wanted to give Miao Fengluan a life-saving talisman to protect her from the influence of the underworld's yin energy, but Miao Fengluan told me that Princess Longji taught her a lot, so she was not afraid of using the body of a living person. Go to the underworld. Since she said that, I didn't say anything else. I stood at the foot of the shady side of Mount Tai, took out the Taishan Imperial Seal, took a deep breath, and started to activate the Imperial Seal. I muttered words, and the Imperial Seal in my hand emitted a dazzling golden light, and then slowly flew into the air. Tonight, the bright moon is high, cloudless, and the water like moonlight pours down, covering everything in the world with a layer of silvery white. In conjunction with the majestic and magnificent mountains of Mount Tai, everything looks so sacred. The Emperor's seal was suspended in the air, and suddenly the golden light became brighter and brighter. Then, a beam of light burst out from the Emperor's seal, heading straight towards Mount Tai in front of him. Then a wide and deep passage appeared in front of me. The passage is deep and dark, with a faint white mist lingering in the passage, as if it is a heavenly passage leading to a fairyland. However, the passage in front of you exudes a frightening yin qi. Is this the road to the underworld? Xiangyi stepped forward and said to me, this passage has not been opened for hundreds of years. This time you open it? No one will close it again except you. Those lonely souls wandering in the world ghosts will also go to the underworld through this passage. Ever since Qingdi was plotted, Mount Tai has lacked a true god. After I became emperor, I had the capital and ability to open this channel. But, I am not god. As soon as Xiangyi finished speaking, from the corner of my eye, I noticed figures moving in the surrounding mountains and forests in the blink of an eye. Countless ghosts and ghosts walked out of the mountains. They came to the passage, lined up, entered it, and headed to the underworld. I looked at Xiangyi and asked, what should we do? Keep going along this passage. This passage should be very long. If we keep walking, we don't know how long it will take. Xiangyi shook his head and replied, no, King Yama should have sent someone to pick you up. They will probably arrive soon. Hearing Xiangyi's answer, I nodded and asked, are King Yama and King Bianchen trustworthy? Well, they are trustworthy. Xiangyi nodded seriously, they have always been on the side of Emperor Fengdu and will not do anything to betray you. The situation in the underworld is still unclear. What I fear most is that someone will stab me in the back. Once I am stabbed, not only will I be in great danger, but even Huashiu and the others will be implicated. It doesn't matter if I get hurt or something, what I'm most afraid of is that they get hurt. For some reason, I have a very ominous premonition about this trip to the underworld. This time, is probably the biggest challenge I have ever encountered in my life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1379. At this moment, the sound of horse hooves suddenly came to my ears. I followed the sound and saw several carriages speeding towards us in the dark and long dark passage. In just the blink of an eye, the carriage stopped in front of us. There are 2 carriages in total. They are mysterious and simple, but also have a strong yin energy. The driver is a yin soldier wearing armor, and the horses are also skeleton horses. The coachman got off the car, came to me, and said respectfully, "Please, my master has been waiting for a long time." The master the coachman mentioned should be King Yama. I nodded and got on the carriage. I, Xiang Yi, Miao Fengluan, and Lu Hangxuan were sitting in a carriage. Enba, Huaxiu, and Kaidi, they sit 3 in one car. After getting on the carriage slowly drove into the underworld. The carriage was very slow at first, and I could take this opportunity to take a look at the situation on both sides of the underworld. The entire netherworld road goes straight forward, with darkness on both sides of the road, no end, no edge, only endless darkness and desolation. However, it does not mean that there is no light on the entire road. Some dark blue and dark green will-o'-the-wisps were suspended in the air, and all kinds of lonely ghosts were walking on the road to the underworld. I looked away, looked at Xiang Yi, and asked, "In the underworld, besides Emperor Fengdu, Ksitagarba Bodhisattva, Emperor Dongyu, is there Empress Hutu?" Empress Hutu's status in the underworld was extremely high, even higher than that of Emperor Fengdu. She is responsible for the rights of life and death, the power of creation, and the right to beautify the world. The 6 paths of reincarnation is also called the God of Beauty. Ever since I came into contact with the underworld, I have never heard of Queen Hutu, as if this god never existed. Could it be that she has already entered the tomb of the gods? Xiang Yi took a look and said to me, "Empress Hutu has disappeared for a long time. No one knows where she went, and no one knows when she will come back. If Empress Hutu is here, the underworld that won't happen." Disappeared. I asked King Di to get some useful information from him. However, King Di didn't know either. He told me that Queen Hutu disappeared earlier than him. Immediately afterwards, Emperor Qing said to me in a very serious tone, "Lu Su, the reason why the underworld is rioting is because of the same thing." I was slightly startled and asked, "What is it?" King Di said slowly, "Book of Life and Death." Hearing this sentence, I was full of doubts and asked, "Isn't something like the Book of Life and Death in the hands of the King of Hell? If they want to use it, why don't they just go to the King of Hell?" King Di sighed slightly and said, "It seems that you still don't understand the Book of Life and Death. Legend has it that at the first judgment of Hongmeng and the beginning of chaos, the 3 books of heaven, earth, and man appeared in the world. It is the power of the 3 books that maintains all the cause and effect of future generations. The heavenly book of gods, the earthly book of mountains and seas, and the human book of life and death. Each of them is a sacred object and has its own function. And, the book of life and death is divided into 2 volumes, yin and yang. Things have beginnings and ends, and people have life and death. Only the unity of yin and yang is the real book of life and death." Emperor Qing's voice paused and continued, "The book of life and death not only records the life and death of people, but also the lives and deaths of gods. Is God here too?" I frowned and asked. King Di hummed, and his next words overturned my understanding. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1380. The so-called gods are all cultivated by humans or animals, which means they are people of a higher level. God, every once in a while, you will experience a catastrophe. If you can't escape, you will be dead. Since there is a lifespan, there must be a name in the book of life and death. However, each statue has its own way of extending life. How much life will be extended after eating flat peaches, and how much life will be extended after eating ginseng fruit? Even if it is worshipped by mortals, the merits gained, these can increase your lifespan. I always thought, God has infinite lifespan, that is, he has eternal life, but now it seems that I have thought too much. King D's tone became more serious, and he said, in order to live in this world, some gods will even take unseen measures, such as taking away the lifespan of mortals, causing disasters, causing death, absorbing souls. Since we are a more advanced human being, we cannot escape human nature. This is how the world is, the weak eat the strong. I asked, where were the book of gods and the book of mountains and seas from the earth that day? King D pondered for a moment and replied, you have owned these two books, including the sample book of life and death. As for where they are, only you know. I know. I sighed helplessly. Before all my memories were awakened, I probably didn't know the whereabouts of these three books. At present, I don't even know what the functions of these three books are, let alone getting them. I'd better solve the immediate matter first. King D's voice reached my ears again. Lu Su, I told you before that the leadership team of the underworld has been changed. The reason why they launched the riot in the underworld was not to let the evil ghosts reappear in the world. I speculate that their real purpose is to bring about the three people in the world. A book, or a celestial coffin. I looked serious, nodded, and replied, you are right, I must be careful this time, and be careful again, otherwise, I am afraid that I will end up in the underworld. No matter what happened in the past, I never thought about dying. This time is different. I always feel that if I don't handle it well, I will die. The most important thing is that among that group of people, there are some who can be trusted and some who cannot be trusted. As for who you should trust, I don't know. You have to make your own judgment. I nodded, and at this moment, Xiangyi asked, Lu Su, what are you thinking about? I came back to my senses and smiled, it's nothing. The carriage galloped quickly in the passage, and soon we arrived at Guiman Pass. After Guiman Pass was Huangquan Road. After walking through Huangquan Road and arriving at Huangchuan Bridge, just as the carriage was about to pass through the Huangchuan River, an old voice suddenly sounded. The road ahead is bumpy, please be safe. I was slightly startled and looked out the car window, only to see Po Meng looking at me quietly at the end of Nahi Bridge. She was wearing linen clothes and a hat on her head, with a kind expression. My eyes met with hers, and a familiar feeling came to my heart. This is not the first time I have seen Po Meng. Why did I not feel this way the last time I saw Po Meng? Could it be because of the awakening of memory? Before I could think too much, the carriage had already moved away from Po Meng. I don't know how long it took, but the carriage stopped and we got off the carriage. The surrounding light was extremely dim, with will-o'-the-wisps floating around, and a huge palace came into view. This is the fifth of the 10 halls, the Yama Hall.